How do things sound? I had so much technical stuff happen to me right before the live that I was just like, come on, please. Okay, that's awesome. I'm gonna have to reset up my area too. Luckily today we have charts up, so you guys can't see the mess that is my table right now. Hi, Bae, how you doing? Wild card. I'm doing pretty good. I'm glad I figured out what was going on with this thing before I went live, because I've been trying to figure it out for like an hour. And then I realized it was a really simple thing that I did to myself that I forgot about in the software. Well, I pretty much hit lock screen in one of the areas and forgot about it, and I couldn't get my the view of the actual chart to come up, and I was like, what the heck is going on here? So I was like trying to fix it for a while, and then I went into one of the tabs and I realized I had a lock view, and I was like, okay. I just like unlocked it and was able to move it and fix the problem, and now I'm gonna have to go back and do that because it's like it messed up all my other stuff, but I have the chart up. That was my main thing. I'm like, I can fix everything else after, but I just need the chart up so I can talk about it. But yeah, that it was like I did it in the very beginning of moving things around so I wouldn't lose stuff, and then it ended up making it where I couldn't move anything because it was locked, and it's in like one spot by itself, so you have to like go to the tab and unlock it kind of thing, and I completely forgot about it. So I was, yeah, messing around and learned a few things while I was getting frustrated. So that's always good, right? And now I'm gonna try to have a different camera angle that might work with me better. I'm gonna be fidgeting with that, trying to figure that out. It's not bad to rest though, but I do hope you feel better, hun. Yeah, let's just rest and, well, I be talking about what's going on with this thing once we get started. Like, when I first pulled it up here, I was already kind of like, oh, okay, so this is going to be fun to talk about. But I'll go ahead and start, going over some of it, because this is going to be a very interesting new moon, because we have a Sagittarius that includes the South Node for, because I know it doesn't show up here because the North Node Gemini, but literally the South Node is like conjunct, like they're all at a tight degree here. They're all between like 19 and 23 degrees, all these planets. And this is the eclipse energy conjunct all of this Sagittarius energy by itself, okay? Nothing else in the chart, just by itself. And it's also in the 12th house. So this little tidbit right here is a whole lot of energy by itself, because there was nothing else on this chart. Because we have Mercury energy, Moon energy, Sun energy, because new moon is the moon and the sun when it's conjunct at the exact degree. And then we have South Node energy as well, all in Sagittarius, which is very expansive energy. It's really trying to see the broader picture, expand and learn, and also dive into like the higher spirituality and try to understand it and kind of get your footing in it. But this is actually happening in the 12th house energy of this chart, which brings a whole nother level of spirituality to it. It's bringing that Pisces, the thinning of the veil, which kind of goes right along with what's happening, because there is the numerology with the 1212 date coming up very soon. That's literally 2 days before this eclipse. A 12 in Pisces. Well, if you're Pisces, you're gonna be, wherever you have Sagittarius is where this stellium's happening. For me, I think it is happening in my 6th house, or it might be going across the border between my 5th and 6th house, but either way, it's like really close together. Yeah, rest is like a huge thing this month. There's just so much energy that it's like once things start moving forward, if you haven't recharged yourself, you're just gonna get completely worn out. Like, this last bit of earth energy is really trying to make us sit before everything just goes instant air. But because even here we can see Saturn's like at this final 29 degree. It's like, I'm almost there. It's like sneaking up, it's getting closer. But but yeah, I was saying wherever you have Sagittarius in your chart is where you're gonna more than likely be having the stellium, unless you have a split between 19 and 23 degrees. Like, it has to be like right in there somewhere, or it's all gonna be having a stellium and wherever this is sitting in the house. But with this being in the 12th house, with us wanting to learn more and expanding more about a different level of spirituality that's more compassionate but can also bring more illusion at the same time, because people that aren't able to deal with going through healing, which is still really pulling on a lot of stuff right now, the people that aren't wanting to do healing are really pushing against learning this lesson right now. because with this energy, what's happening is it's trying to make us break out of our box by making us surrender to crap that's happening. Like, literally having no choice because it's in the 12th house of, like, you know, just let it go kind of energy, which was the collective thing yesterday. Just kind of let it go and ride the wave now that it's in the 12th house. It's like literally riding a Pisces wave over here. And having this need for learning more about it as opposed to just letting pass by. It's pretty much what this eclipse is sparking. It's like really making us want to understand the depths that are hidden here. And wherever you have Sag in your chart, or depending on what you are trying to learn from your 12th house, this could actually really help bring out that energy. It could really help with being able to communicate and say the different perspectives you're getting, because instead of it being really one-dimensional, it's going to be this broad area, especially having the South Node in there mixing in with the energy. It's trying to help us understand talents that we have, things that we didn't know about ourselves, to be more interested in actually learning about those things, because it's trying to make us come back to where we are interested in learning, because a lot of humanity has gotten to this phase where they're not necessarily learning, they're just regurgitating and not really retaining anything, which isn't really what Sagittarius energy is about here. It's about like really being able to take in experiences, learn from the experiences, and keep growing. Like, it's Jupiter energy. It's all about growth. And this could also bing, because that can also bring really this feeling of a lot of blessings coming out of nowhere, because once again, like I was saying, this is Jupiter's energy, and we are not going to understand it. That's the whole thing. We are pretty much learning to go with what's going to happen with this energy in the 12th house, and it's going to be a big powerful one, having a freaking stellium in it. Like, but we do have to watch out though, because the way this eclipse's energy is set up, its rising is in Capricorn, which can make us not necessarily be paying that good of attention to our health, because it's all about like movement forward, the ambition, doing things, and having another stellium in the first house in Capricorn where they are conjunct is pretty much like this huge push to keep, you know, doing, like, going through these lessons and everything. But this Jupiter is being tied right back to this Sagittarius energy. This is coming to the end of it. Like, this is showing like these lessons we've been learning through Saturn and Jupiter are finally starting to close out a little bit, and it's going to be moving into a different energy. Now, this is also showing us that it's time very close, it's getting very close to the time of us reaping the rewards of this, because this has been a long time coming that this has been coming around. So this is going to start opening our eyes very randomly, and probably I mean, it's making me, even though this is a lot of Sagittarius, it's making me think of Uranus energy, which kind of makes sense because there's these squares, I mean, not squares, but this energy where Uranus is trying to kind of dip its toe into this lovely group over here. But it's really making me feel that a lot of unexpected can happen. Like, it's not like just the dreamy Neptune, like, you know, hidden things coming out, which there's going to be a lot of that too, because, you know, all about the exploration of the truth, trying to find out, you know, the answers with this energy is definitely going to be bringing out a lot of things that were once very hidden for the people that are willing to do the work. Now, A stellium is when you have 3 or more planets in a house in that sign. Like here, you actually have the South Node in here with it, like right beside this Mercury. But we have technically 4 here, even though it's not showing up. And then we have 3 here in Capricorn. So we have 2 stelliums happening in at the time of this eclipse. And with all of this, like I was already saying, the 12th house and man, I cannot talk today, guys. That 12th house energy is going to be giving us things that either we didn't know were there because they were hidden from us. Oh, hey, Phantom. It's going to be, especially in the form of communication, like if you're communicating with people, they're going to be bringing you different perspectives as well. But since both the moon and the sun are in here together, it's about having that train of thought between your subconscious and your heart actually linking up with the information that you're receiving and making sure it actually aligns with you, especially since the South Node is in there. It's like really making you search for that South Node energy where you know that this is where you come home to and where you recharge is in this truth. So this is a big truth-seeking eclipse. And it's a very driven one because you actually have Mars down here trining every single one of those. Like it's trining the South Node, Mercury, and the eclipse. So you're having this burst of Aries energy with Mars coming in like the warrior, like a warrior of freaking truth. And this is also sitting in the 3rd house of communication. So we're having more Mercury energy being thrown towards the Mercury with the speed of Aries. And one thing that can happen here is becoming impatient and not tolerant to other people's points of view while you are learning right now, especially once this eclipse energy kicks in. Don't be dogging other people for what they're going through and what they're learning. If they're changing the way they view things or the way they want to do things, it's because they're going through a huge learning thing. They're going through this feeling of, I need to work towards what actually is for me. Because the healing is also happening in this house, because Chiron has this energy too where it's sitting in the 3rd house. And it could also be for some of us as really having to deal with close relationships like siblings and things like that, and heal anything that possibly was rooted in that, or forgiving ourselves for any part we might have taken in either messing up certain relationships. It's really all about trying to kind of get to the point with this energy. Now, with all of this communication going back and forth between the 12th and the 3rd house, and it being very fiery, this is very quick energy. This isn't the earth energy that we are used to. It's not the water energy that we've dealt with for a long time. This is very rapid, especially since everything is direct at the time of this happening. That is this fire energy. But another thing that's really interesting is like we have all this like spiritual stuff, right? All this communication, all this hidden stuff. The 8th house in this chart's ruled by Leo. So not only do we have all this fire dealing with this, but this other house of the occult and the hidden and dealing with other people's properties is connected directly to the 12th with like going through our heart space, like what we actually feel. Like, are we letting our ego get in the way of the truth, or are we letting love come out and take over and letting let my random accents and crap come out? But or are we gonna let our actual heart, our inner child come out and be not afraid to explore certain things, not like it's taboo and all that other kind of energy. It's like we're going to actually start to have fun with looking at these things. And this is because, you know, Sagittarius is all about learning. Let's learn about all this hidden stuff. Let's have fun with it. Let's have an optimistic attitude. But if we're not watching out for our own ego, and our ego is very burnt, this fire can turn the opposite way. It can turn where we're trying to be obsessive about protecting what we feel is ours, trying to take from other people, being very impatient, like I was saying before, with other people changing their minds and growing right now. Because if you're not in this mode where you're expanding and trying to learn more right now, which is very conducive for this, you're going to be in that mode where you're trying to stifle other people, where you're going to be putting people down because you're, no other better way to put it, but you're just feeling that the envy of someone else doing what you want to do. Hi, Anna. But by doing this, like, you're making the decision, are you going to be healing those wounds in your ego, or are you just going to be letting them like grow, like multiply? Because this Mars energy in Aries is like this full throttle, like just full steam ahead in whatever choice you're making right now. So if you're choosing expansion, it's definitely going to do that for you. It's going to give that needed energy for going towards with what you're learning, especially if you've been feeling really downtrodden with energy lately. Like this burst, this trine happening, four trines happening, is trying to help with this. Now, another thing to look at, since Scorpio is, I don't want to say natal, it's not like the natal ruler, but it's like the natural ruler of the 8th house. Looking at Pluto being in the first, it's almost like this is showing us that through using this tenacity and through really doing this work, because of how this energy is Capricorn energy for the first house, by doing this work and what we've been doing with transforming and going through these things, even though it's been feeling really restrictive, it's trying to help with creating, because Leo energy is very creative. It's helping us bring out the creativity that comes through all these transformations, like different things we're opening up, especially if we're healing our inner child. There's going to be things that we blocked off and put down that are finally going to feel like this kind of playful air to them, because that's what fire does. It has more of an optimistic burst forward kind of energy, like that motivation. It can be childlike and playful, kind of like how flames dance. So it's kind of showing us how to shed these different layers by creating this kind of feathery flame dance in a way. I know that sounds weird, but I'm just kind of seeing it in my head, like the way the flames are dancing. And it's kind of like going with the flow of this 12th house energy is literally like waves of flames helping you clear away things, but doing it in a manner that doesn't feel as daunting as the rest of this year has felt. It's because it's not going to have all of these crazy heavy energies that we've been feeling with the different water and earth heaviness that's been happening. It's like there's so much fire here that it's starting to lift it out and kind of clear it away pretty rapidly. And this actually, it falls in tandem with setting up for the 21st with the conjunction in Aquarius. It's almost like it's starting to clear away this heavy energy a week before, so once we go in, it's like already feeling a little lighter. So it's going to progressively keep doing that. And one thing also, Venus is almost out of Scorpio, like probably a few more days after this eclipse it'll be moving into Sagittarius as well. And right now it's forming a sextile to these planets. So that Scorpio energy is still kind of hanging on what we've been feeling with Venus, with our relationships, wanting deeper partnerships. This is really going to be front forward in this energy. It's going to be like the heavy thing that we're seeing on people in this energy is who has been doing this. Who's been actually like pushing through and doing these things. Like, it's going to be on them. And these are the people you're going to want to have relationships with because you're going to have instant deep connections. And in this chart, this Venus is in the 11th house, which, the networking, internet, but it's also wish fulfillment too. So a lot of this is just us being able to connect to souls like we always wanted to, because with Uranus sitting in the 4th house over here, still in retrograde in Taurus, it's like tearing up all of that comfortable energy of what we thought was family, what we originally kind of thought was our roots, and we're building new roots in order to know what we want, because it also has to do with really like digging all the crap off of our soul in a way too, because our soul is way down there in our IC, even though this 4th house is ruled by Aries. So once again, there's some more fiery energy that's ruling that burst of digging out the soul and going forth with it. Like, that's a very big thing, and this one is just using the fire energy to dive straight into that. But with it holding Taurus in here, it has Uranus doing the same thing in there, but it's trying to dig out anything that we've become comfortable in. Any kind of familial situations, any kind of what can sometimes feel like ancestor energy that's like been passed down, like traditions and things like that. It's helping us realize, like, what are we holding on to because it's comfortable in these situations that's holding us back. Like, if it's something that adds to us, like we have like passed down types of traditions that actually build us up, like those are going to be more solidified. If we're going through this thing where we're realizing that we were brought up a way that so many generations were brought up, and it does not match what we are trying to do. If anything, it harms us. This is trying to make us realize that the comfortability we felt and being a part of that needs to go, so that way we can be comfortable in us. Like, this whole energy right here is like, and the thing is, our health is very tied to this right now. For those that are really feeling low on the energy, this could be the chance to turn that around. Because with the North Node trying to actually sitting in this health energy over here, it's like trying to get people to head more towards their health and to talk more about health, whether it's mental health, especially being in Gemini. It could easily be mental health, especially with everything that's going on right now currently in the world. It's like everyone's mental health and the way we're communicating with each other can be very harsh. Much like how that North Node energy can be very harsh, it can be very pushing, it can be very obsessive. But if we're pulling back and learning from this South Node energy, and it being in this house of compassion, and being able to pull it into taking care of ourselves as we're going forward and communicating with others, we can use the Sagittarius Mercury that's conjunct the nodes in order to express this in a broader way, and actually not be so narrow-minded when it comes to what we are trying to do when it comes to taking care of other people, or how we're interacting with people at work, how we view our own mental health, our physical health, our emotional health. And all this in Sagittarius in the 12th is going to start bringing in, how are we viewing our spiritual health as well? It's like all of it's getting this once over, like this big pinpoint right now that's like, how are we taking care of ourselves? And that's what this is trying to shine a light on, especially falling in these energies. It's like, what are we doing right now to move forward to take care of ourselves? Because having Neptune squaring off against everything in its own house, but having this square effect happening here, we can't. This is what I was saying earlier. It's like, as we're going through this, we need to have compassion for other people that are going through it. We can't start falling into this illusion that if we ignore what's being handed to us, or we're ignoring what's in front of our face and putting up like our whatever kind of glasses you want to put on, or if you want to put up a straight wall in front of your face, if you're doing this, you're using these aspects of the Neptune energy in a way that's really not benefiting you, like, at all. And the way you can be using this energy with Neptune, even though it's going to be hard to, is building up your self-worth, finding the value in the things that really matter to you, because it's sitting in this second house energy. Create new that makes you comfortable, and have compassion for yourself while you're doing it, and have compassion for others. This is going to be really challenging, because as you're changing, other people are changing. And if other people aren't changing and they're staying the same in their... This is that asshat energy I told you is going to be here all December. If we got the asshat energy going on and you're dealing with that, it's like you're still going to be like in this thing where it's like, yes, you can be compassionate that that's where they are. You can have empathy that that's where they are, but you don't have to let them in your boundaries. Because that's a major thing with Neptune, is understanding what boundaries are, and having it in this house of value right here is really valuing your boundaries, valuing people that value your boundaries. It's like that kind of energy building on itself, because if there's people coming into your life, and like I said, it's going to be all over people with this Capricorn first house right here and the stellium in it, having all of them sextiling this Venus. It's going to have this energy that people you communicate with, friends you make, things you want to actually do and move towards, and plus the unique way you're doing it too. Even though this is in Scorpio, it's like bringing that to a very deep place, and you're bringing it out in the forefront, and people are going to see it on you. Like, everyone's going to be able to see on everybody if they've been doing stuff or not. It's going to be like an energy on their person, whether it's on the internet or you're actually talking to the person face to face. That's why it's showing in this 11th house. It doesn't matter where you are, because most of us are, we're in stay in place right now, where I am. But it's like most things are happening over the internet, even for family, which with this Uranus in the 4th house over here, and Uranus goes with Aquarius and everything, a lot of things are being remade over, where the only way we're communicating with family is with the internet, and learning to value time with family as well, because we're starting to see that there were certain things we didn't value or appreciate before, and we're seeing the true value in it by having to go through the different things happening in the world right now and having that separation. So trying to see if anything else is really standing out to me here. Yeah, I think for the most part, that is what's really heavy coming out here. So I do gotta say, that Venus is gonna move into Sagittarius as well very soon, and it's gonna be conjunct Chiron as soon as it hits Sagittarius. So there's gonna be like some very quick choices that are being made when it comes to relationships, because you've grown, because it's going to be in Sagittarius. It's like the growth, the learning that came through all of these relationships, and then making choices because of this Chiron, like what's healed you and what's held you back. It's like literally being shown that with the relationships and making decisions, because the fire is just going to keep moving you forward. It's not going to be something that you can stop necessarily once it's in. That's why I'm saying there's going to be people doing this, and then there's going to be people stuck in their ways. So definitely going to be seeing who these people are that are stuck in their ways and not doing anything, because it's going to be very hard to communicate with them, because they're going to be coming from this place where they are not wanting to break any of the illusion they have, because that thing called cognitive dissonance, where if something does not make sense in my reality, then my reality crumbles. A lot of people aren't okay with that, and they don't want it to happen, so they will be super happy just staying there. And communicating with people like that are going to drive you crazy if you are working so freaking hard and you've been so exhausted working hard like you have to get to this place, and other people don't even understand like the things you've been doing to get here. So make it fun. Well, I'm glad I make it fun, but this whole energy right here is letting us know that don't waste your compassion and your energy and this love, this time of love that's being given to you, because this 12th house is all about unconditional love as well. Don't waste it. If you feel like people are taking from you, like I said, boundaries are so important with this Neptune energy. So have your boundaries and give that love to yourself if other people aren't accepting of it or are just abusing it. It's always better to give to yourself, because then you have the energy to give to the right people, because hey, if they're not there, they're coming, okay? Like, maybe they need to get into Sagittarius so that their energy can travel a little bit more, but it's like they're starting to come in, or they're definitely going to start moving forward once it gets into Sagittarius, because that's like some traveling energy there, and that's like there's movement in relationships. So anything that might feel kind of stuck because it's too deep will get the lift it needs to start moving forward once that goes into Sagittarius. But we got to remember that it doesn't mean it's not going to be hard, because having this happen is going to make, like I said, more fire. And the more fire that we have, the faster some people are going to be to just the impatience, the intolerance, the erupting, because, you know, the ego is attacked. And when the ego is attacked, people get upset. So definitely make sure that probably during the same week as the eclipse, Venus is like going to be going into Sagittarius, that if you're feeling that shift in your relationships, know to take it slow, because there's going to be a lot of things that you're going to be hit with Chiron being conjunct that Venus. And not conjunct, trining the Venus. It's going to be bringing out that in any relationships that you haven't currently healed yet. It's going to be showing you these things that haven't been healed, and you're going to learn through a broader lens because it's in Sagittarius. And there's going to be no way you can ignore it with that Aries energy. But that is what I'm seeing for this eclipse. And I'm not necessarily seeing any major numbers sticking out to me that much, because sometimes things do kind of jump at me, because everything that's number wise I've kind of said, it'd be like me repeating what I've already said if I go over the numerology. But if you guys have questions, or if there's like certain aspects in this that you want to understand more about, I am all for it. So So, if you have an interception, it's not that it affects you less. The way interceptions work is it's almost like you are trying to understand the energy, because if you think of it this way, it's almost like, I don't know why, but I'm just going to use this because it keeps coming into my head. Like, think like there's forks in the road and you can see what is at the end of each fork, right? But then there's this road in the middle that you can't see what's down there, but you know what you're going to get on either side, kind of energy. But it actually would really benefit you to understand what is going on in the middle, even though you can't see it. So it's not like it affects you less. You still get affected. It's just you don't understand it because you don't necessarily know how to perceive it. And so with having this happening in Sagittarius and Gemini inside of an interception, it's almost going to highlight this energy for you and try to teach you. Because since this is a collective energy, because it's eclipse energy, if you don't have any planets in Gemini or Sagittarius, then this is definitely going to pretty much just throw on you what this energy feels like and start teaching you very rapidly what this feels like. And I'm pretty sure you've been kind of getting a taste of it with the nodes being in Sagittarius and Gemini, but having a heavy constellation sitting in one of these signs you have intercepted is definitely going to be showing you how to harness the energy. So while everything is in Sagittarius, start evaluating how this energy helps you in certain aspects of your life. Also, since a lot of this is helping with relationships to come in that benefit us instead of take away, is what we're supposed to be learning with this. If you know people that have either heavy Sagittarius or heavy Gemini placements, you can kind of start learning the energy from them and how they work with the energy. I mean, if they're, evolved signs, because some people don't really know how to use the energy and they do manipulative things with any of these energies. But people that are doing the right things and they're growing and everything, if you get to know them, they can kind of help you wade through the energies and how it's actually affecting the houses that are intercepted. Because the thing is, there's a lot of hidden talent usually in these intersections that we don't understand. And it's kind of irritating because we're searching and searching, but we don't have anything to kind of connect it to. Because like I said, we can see everything on the sides, but we can't see what's like right in front of us with it, and it's a very irritating thing. But this is going to pinpoint bring in some major energy you can't ignore, and it's going to be something that really gets you thinking, because like I said, this is like heavy spiritual as well as really taking a full what's that word? It's like taking, it's not account, it's like stock, taking full stock of how you are, like mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. It's like making you have to do that, and then you're going to be communicating it and see who actually has your best interest at heart with you communicating the truth with that. I don't know where you have your interceptions though, so I don't know exactly what place that is going to be getting highlighted for you. You don't know what, Anna? if you got Uranus in at 29 degrees, it's actually in the orb of being conjunct of this eclipse. I mean, your Neptune. So that's like another thing for you. You're definitely going to be feeling this 12th house energy even more because Neptune is 12th house energy. All the other ones are out of orb range for being conjunct that, but you're still going to have a stellium sitting down there. You're going to have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to have like 5, 6 planet stellium sitting down there in your third house. So there's going to be like pretty much what I was talking about with Aries, with how the third house works with communication and different things. You're really going to be feeling that in your third house. And since your third house starts with Capricorn, I'm assuming since you're not Capricorn, Scorpio, I'm assuming since your you have your interception, that means that naturally your third house is a very deep introspective house, and you try to communicate very deep things, but you also tend to not communicate things that are very secret to you. But also your communication can be quite obsessive when it comes to interpersonal relationships. You can also be interested in occult communities. This is technically an occult community because astrology is like, occult just means like the hidden, the unknown, and astrology dives into that. Same with tarot and all that stuff. So it's like wanting to communicate those kind of ideas and stuff as well. But having all this in Sagittarius is trying to pretty much open that up for you since it's ruled by Scorpio. It's trying to help you deep dive into it, find the truth in it, find different ways of communicating, because since the Mercury is going to be in there, it's actually helping you form ways of communicating these things and trusting your intuition more. And it's also going to be helping you with understanding your uniqueness, because since your Uranus is in there, it's like I was telling you, having Uranus and Neptune in there is an interesting thing to have, because how I was talking about hidden talents, Uranus is our individuality. It's like those genius sparks and everything, and you have it in a sign that's very broad thinking, like it's outside the box already, like it wants to have higher understanding. And having it intercepted is almost like you know you want to do it, but you don't know how the heck to go about it. And it's like it's something that bugs you. And then having the Neptune in there is also doing kind of the same thing. It's just it's doing it in a more deceptive way, because Neptune can be very illusionary. It can kind of keep the truth away if we're not understanding it. So a lot of things that probably were communicated to you growing up don't necessarily ring true to you, but you didn't understand why, because that energy wasn't something you can easily tap into. It's like you have to learn it, which is very interesting for Sagittarius energy, because it's all about learning, which is why I feel all of this energy going into that, actually most of it's already sitting in your house, so it's been helping you kind of open up and learn more. But this eclipse is really going to highlight all of this energy for you, because it's going to bring out to where you want to allow your intuition to create a new way of communication. And the more you lean into that and the more you try to learn about it, the more you're going to be able to express it. And if you have a third house interception, that means your ninth house is intercepted Gemini, which means like all that energy sitting up there with that north node in your ninth house is, it's like you're, like I was saying, this chart is really saying that our health needs to be taken stock of by understanding and learning these things. What's going to happen is you're going to start wanting to communicate. Like I was saying, like people needing to talk about, like, you know, their health and where they actually are and take care of themselves by actually voicing it. You're going to be expressing philosophy and different things that you might not have done before because you didn't really understand how to articulate it, and you're learning this new way of communicating it because you're diving into different things. You're learning different vernacular, you're learning different ways of expression through putting things like either on the internet or doing things in a physical way that you can show over different communities. And by doing this, it's actually going to help your health, like this chart is calling for. It's like by opening yourself up, you're taking these blocks off and working through these interceptions, which is going to help you in your health houses, purely for the fact that you're going with the energy instead of fighting it. It's going to really lighten the load on you, because if, say, you were trying to stay really stagnant and you weren't really wanting to learn it, it's like you'd be having all this push to do it, and it's like you would have all this energy to do it, but then you put the energy into disruptive things, especially with the Neptune mixed into the energy. It could easily make you fall into addictions and different things and escapism, trying to get away from the truth that this is trying to bring you. So that's why it's really important. Like if you're feeling any pull to try to run away from what's happening, realize that's your Neptune being conjunct this Sag Sun and Moon, because, you know, they're conjunct for the new moon. But especially with the Sun, if you're feeling the need for escape, what's happening is your ego is coming out and it's trying to take over and say, like, we need to run. And that's a response when things are painful, when you're having to learn and give yourself compassion instead of feeling that need to run away. Turn around and give yourself love and compassion instead, and allow yourself to learn the truth, even if it's harsh, especially if it comes to relationships, and how you're communicating in them, and which ones are important and which ones actually are like really hindering your healing. Because if you have your Uranus at 9 degrees, it's conjunct Chiron, and it's really like, I mean, it's trining Chiron, which is going to be highlighting, and it's been trining Chiron forever, so it's been really highlighting you needing to find different ways of working through your healing, because old, outdated ways of doing it just aren't going to work for you. You need to find your own way to do it, with it being in Uranus and going through this Chiron thing. It's like, and you need to do it for you, because Chiron's in Aries right now. You're not doing this for other people. Ass is getting kicked. But it's definitely a lot of introspecting for you, and then actually communicating the introspection, which you're gonna get new ways of doing this while it's transiting like this Mercury. And then once you understand it, you're gonna be solidifying it once it goes into Capricorn. Like you're gonna have a lot more grounded energy once Mercury goes into Capricorn, because you'll have learned this new way of communicating, and you're going to be feeling this energy of like, you know, this is my communication and I'm going forward with it. You're not going to be sitting here like, you know, kind of still trying to learn. It's going to be like, hey, I learned and it's time for me to put this out there and make this work. But I always do it with love. But just make sure you are very in tune with your mind and your body tendencies, and make sure with your emotions they aren't overriding your intuition, because it can be very mushy, especially with having the moon in the 12th house. With this eclipse energy, it's like our emotions and intuition can get a little blurred. But what a good, like for me, it kind of works a little different because my emotions actually help me tune into mine because I actually suppress them more than I should. But you need to see how your, okay, Nightbot's having a time of its life right now, but you need to see normally how you are with emotions. If you're someone that's very, like, just out there and like with their emotions and isn't typically one that's like more stoic, um, this is trying to teach you how to communicate and refine those emotions and use it for growth and expansion. Whereas if you're someone like me that typically tries to not allow the emotion out, this is all about surrendering to allowing that, like I've been lately. Just kind of letting it out and letting whatever's gonna come of my emotions and just being honest with them, being honest with what I can actually do energetically, which is another thing with boundaries. You have to be honest with people about your time constraints. You have to be honest about your, okay, Nightbot, let's take over my whole freaking chat. But you have to be honest about how much energy you really have to give as well, because you're going to keep just draining yourself if you don't have people that are respecting that. Because say you are working 2 jobs and, like, this is like an example, like you're working 2 jobs, you have a kid, and then it's like you have friends that lean on you for support, but it's like, you shouldn't have the expectation that someone is going to help you because you help them, but you also shouldn't put yourself in a predicament where it's like you're feeling bitter or resentful because the people that you are allowing in your life are basically dumping on you while you don't have the time or energy to do anything for yourself. And that's where you have to be accountable for yourself, and you have to have your boundaries. And the people that respect that will probably step up and start trying to help you because you're actually voicing it. You have to say it. You can't think that your telepathy is going to start smacking people in the face. Like, it might work for some people, I have no idea, but it's like you can't go around expecting people to read your mind and understand how stressed you are having to listen to their crap while you're going through all your crap and just keeping it to yourself. If you're being completely stoic and acting like nothing is wrong with you, that's what people are going to think. Like, and that's the thing with Capricorn too. This energy right here is trying to show us that you can go through these things. Yes, if there was a good, Virgo moon would win because I am right there with that. But it's like Virgo moon will suppress emotions, our own needs, whatever, and put everything else first and just be like, that's so far, I am on that back burner. But it's so bad to the point where I had to start making lists for myself that was literally like the basic human necessities that I need to do for myself to survive, because that's like how bad it would get. But I also have tons of earth in my chart, so I tend to, even though I have things that kind of show to the outside, like, oh, she would be someone that definitely would be very, because I have Cancer rising, be like, she'd be very nurturing, she would be all about some emotions. No, I definitely can help other people with their emotions, but when it comes to mine, I'm over here like, yeah, I'll write for days, but I won't talk about it. Like, I will just sit there writing and writing and writing, but not tell anybody what I'm feeling until, like, it just bursts out, and I'm like, and it's not like I get mad or anything, it's like I just cry. And then no one knows why I'm crying because I haven't talked about anything. So, and even then I don't want to talk about why I'm crying. I'm just like upset that I'm actually crying because I couldn't keep it to myself to go cry in private. So it's like one of those things. And with you guys, you've been noticing I'm working through that and trying to get more used to expressing it because it is healthy. And that is something I have to keep telling myself. It's like this eclipse is focusing on here. It's for our health. Like, we need to take stock of our health here. Like, what is healthy for us and what isn't healthy for us. And being in the truth and learning more about our own truth is actually what is healthy for us, because the more we're sitting in lies that don't align with us, the sicker we're going to feel in every aspect of our lives, because it's like we're just living a lie basically. Um, yeah, and you having that Gemini moon is going to be getting activated too by all this, because I know you have it in that interception. So there's going to be a lot of your intuition definitely being called to the forefront. It might be a little easier for you to understand the emotions, but at the same time they're trying to show you that it's okay to feel the emotions and to communicate the emotions as opposed to detaching from them, because air moons typically are pretty good about understanding the emotion then detaching from it, or able to do something to distract themselves from the emotion. So in doing this, it's pretty much trying to, and it's going to feel very strange because oppositions tend to feel kind of repulsive, but like you're being pulled to do it. Like you don't, like if you don't do it, it actually works against you. So it's like this kind of energy is like if you learn from it, it's really going to help you. Libra moon. Yes, we're all this group here. We're like group therapy. Feeling feelings is hard. But this is really trying to show us here, and I'm trying to lead by example by crying in front of you guys randomly, so I guess that works out too. But I'm not even trying to do that. When that happens during these lives, that just happens. So that's like a really go with the flow surrender attitude right there. Oh well, it just happened. But yeah, you have like a Virgo stellium though, Ruby. So it's like that's a lot of stifling. Yeah, she's like, but I'm a Pisces moon. I have a lot of emotion. See, so, Bae, you're gonna be feeling more of like learning how to fine tune it and dive into more the intuitive side instead of being ruled by the emotional side. I'm a. Oh my goodness, Ruby. But yeah, Bae, you're gonna be trying to learn how to harness this energy, and it's gonna feel kind of stifling a little bit since it's like a squaring energy between fire and water. But it's gonna be a challenge for you to learn how to communicate the emotions in a way that's showing truth and being able to learn about them. So that way you're able, even though it's gonna be hard because, like, you know, people can scrutinize you and say like, oh, you're living like in a fantasy land kind of thing, like, or you feeling like people are taking advantage of you being vulnerable. This is you learning strength in the truth that your emotions are powerful and being able to express the power behind your emotions without feeling like it doesn't matter what other people say, because your truth is more important than their hurt egos, which is coming from them not being able to be vulnerable. So that's a huge strength to have, but this is trying to teach you through a challenge here, like working through this challenge, to have compassion for yourself and your emotions, and also learn to harness them and communicate them in a way that is healing for you as well as those around you. Because Pisces is very spiritual energy. Um, but also make sure, once again, since you know it is Pisces, one thing that can happen, like I was saying to Phantom, um, even more so for you because it's probably close to Neptune. Either way, because Neptune's pretty much in the middle here, so it's like it's going to be conjunct some way or another. But with that happening, it can be easy for you to want to run from your emotions because you're feeling them so heavily and being pushed to do this thing where it's like, I don't want to have to dive so deep. I'm always so deep anyways, and now I'm being forced to like really be honest with myself about them, because you can be very in your emotions and still not be honest with yourself. And this is all about being honest with yourself instead of like putting up this illusion that everything's okay. So if there's things that you've been suppressing or you've been trying to hide from yourself, or that are hidden from yourself, you didn't even realize it, like your subconscious is going to be bringing them forward, whether it's in dreams, because 12th house, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know right now, 12th house is like Pisces energy, dreams, subconscious. There's a good chance with this eclipse we're going to be having some pretty messed up dreams. It would not surprise me having all this expansive energy in this house of dreams if some freaking prophecies come out in dreams. I am not even kidding. But I better not be having any of that shit. I just want sleep. But this energy right here, and the reason I can understand Pisces moons a lot, not only because my boyfriend's Pisces moon, but it's the opposing sign to the Virgo moon, and it actually really helps to understand your opposing sign and the strengths of the opposing sign, because if you can work those into your weaknesses, that is how you overcome them. Like how, you know, Virgo moon wants to shut it off and just do this very like health thing but still neglect themselves, whereas it's like Pisces is like very open and like, you know, wanting to show this unconditional love as opposed to criticizing things. And it's like being able to put those together and understand that there is a time and a place for each of these things, and knowing how to bring them out to use the strengths of them wherever you have them. Especially in this energy, it's like all about us finding our strengths. And for some of us, our hidden talents, because having that south node in the 12th house is like, hey, you know, there's probably gonna be some new discoveries happen, because like, I mean, it's higher learning, and this is like, you can learn about yourself in doing this. Like, and if this is dreams, I wouldn't be surprised with some dreams of past lives for people. If you're speaking different languages in your dreams and crap, but this energy is going to be very interesting, to say the least. And we're going to be feeling it. I mean, like I said, these eclipse energies last a while. Like, we're going to be having that Gemini eclipse energy, the Sagittarius eclipse energy. Like, these things are going to be sitting with us. And it's all about integrating each of the energies as we keep going, and just kind of like adding to our repertoire of everything we've been learning from each one, and then putting it into, yeah, lots of time for strange dreams. It's just, there is gonna be this pinnacle happening, and some of us might not be able to tell the difference between reality and our dreams, and that can be another thing with this square here. I don't like want to scare anybody, but that can possibly feel like sleep paralysis. So if that does happen and it feels like you're going through that, just kind of be calm. Like, I've been through it so many times in my life. It's like the more you freak out in it, the worse it gets. And like, when you're calm and you realize what's happening, then you're able to kind of take control of it. But if any of you experience that, it's like freaking having a panic attack where you can't move while you're asleep. But that energy for some of you might actually come out. But otherwise, we could just be having dreams that are teaching us things that we've been closing ourselves off to. But this could also be expanding dreams we once thought we could never do, because we didn't feel we had the value in ourselves, especially with Pisces in the second house. This could be us learning to go after certain dreams that we once held in very high regard, but we shut down. But now working through the challenge of finding the worth and the love for ourselves and putting the value back in ourselves, we're able to allow ourselves to learn without worrying about the outcome. Because in the 12th, it's not like you're going to sit there and worry about the outcome. Like, the outcome is like you surrender to whatever the outcome is. That's the outcome. So it's pretty much allowing us to kind of deep dive back in and allow ourselves that inner child healing that's been screaming at us all year, so that we can start to play again, as opposed to feeling this huge restriction, because we're not going to be able to find that healing and that value in ourselves until we can take ourselves a little less seriously. And Sagittarius, that optimism, the joking, being able to have fun, the same with Gemini energy. It's like just fun energy. It's like this moon eclipse thing can be a bunch of fun energy that people haven't felt in a while, but it can also be some very heavy energy if you're allowing the wrong people to be ruling what you want to be doing. So it's pretty much like making the decision, like, are you going to follow your heart and your dreams, or are you gonna let people kind of stomp all over it and make you feel like crap for even wanting anything in the first place, and just stay in that place of where you think so little of yourself? Because that's an illusion that you're putting on yourself that's trying to keep you comfortable. Is like, if I never move from here, I don't have to worry about if I fail from moving from here. This isn't about failure. This is just about opening up and learning. This isn't necessarily saying like I am creating something. This is saying like I'm opening up, I'm learning, I'm exploring. Like, when things need to be created, it'll be in Capricorn. Right now we're just exploring and expanding, having fun, bringing this renewed optimism to things, instead of feeling this crushing weight of everything needs to have a freaking meaning under the sun. It's like, let's just have some fun for once. And that's going to open this up. And if you're enjoying what you're doing, if you're having like this kind of childlike energy come back, it doesn't mean you need to be running around your house like a 2-year-old. God knows I can't do that anymore. But it's like, allow yourself to laugh at silly things. Allow yourself to be with people that help you feel silly, because that'll bring that out and still that I can't talk. It'll bring out that energy in you that helps you heal whatever made you feel like you couldn't have fun, whatever made you feel like you couldn't have joy. And it'll help you have more compassion for yourself, even though it feels hard to do that, because all of us have these different things that we hide from ourselves to protect ourselves. It'll make us be more accepting of those and allow us to integrate those things instead of feeling like they need to stay hidden. So yeah, past lives are something else. But in a way, like, I'm feeling like this eclipse is gonna lift a lot of that heavier energy we've been feeling, and then kind of, I know a lot of things are happening, okay? Like, we had the Gemini eclipse. Now we're gonna have 12/12, which in numerology is called the 12/12 portal. But if you look at the numbers 1 and 2, 1 is all about forward movement. It's about having the ambition. It's very Aries type energy. And 2 is very intuitive, the emotions, and very moon-like energy, very nurturing. And then putting them together, we have the 3 with the creation and being able to express. Now, having both of these energies doubled, just like double whammy power, like, hey, like kind of thing, like shooting forward with our intuition and expressing and just doing these things that bring this creative light to us, is happening 2 days before this. So it's already kind of gearing up for like this eclipse energy. It's like, hey, like, let's express ourselves and be a little more like this Aries energy, which is known as being the child of the zodiac. So what better way to have childlike energy than to embody the child of the zodiac? But it's not saying be immature and impatient, it's saying to have more fun with what you're doing and be a little more giddy about things, like a kid excited on Christmas, which is ironic since Christmas is like right around the corner. But having this energy that's going to be starting in like 3 days, and then going into, which is interesting because, you know, the moon, the shadow of the moon typically is 3 days before, 3 days after. It's like this date is in the shadow of the moon, then the eclipse is going to happen. And then we're going to be having, during possibly the shadow of the moon, still afterwards, Venus moving into Sagittarius with all that stuff I was telling you guys. It's going to be doing that relationship energy where things are starting to move. And then literally that following Monday, we're going to be having the Great Conjunction where things move into Aquarius and a bunch of energy shifts, because moving into air from Earth is going to feel like a whole different ball game, because things are going to speed up, because Earth is very slow moving. Air is like, let's go. It just starts going. And even though Saturn is going to be in Aquarius and us trying to create structures that are more around the individual, that also includes communities, instead of breaking people down and making them feel like they're subpar because they don't fit molds, this energy is going to be really getting propelled forward by all this fire. And even when certain things like the sun and other planets might try moving into Capricorn, we're going to be so used to this Capricorn energy. What it's going to be doing is basically having this solidifying effect on, we know what we want to communicate, and we're going to be very forthright with it. We're going to be very blunt with it. And we aren't going to be feeling this need to be coddling people, because that's happening very predominantly with these energies we've been having coming up to now. There's been so much freaking coddling happening, especially in spiritual communities. And like, I don't condone fear mongering, like people going out and like saying like all this horrible crap is gonna happen to you and all that stuff. I definitely don't condone that. But I also don't feel like it's healthy to be completely sitting in like, only pay attention to the good and completely repress the bad, because listening to anything bad is just going to make you depressed. Going to either extreme of the spectrum is never healthy. The healthy medium is always what you want to aim for here. Like, you want to have the sense of like, you know, you need to work on things, but still having that love and compassion that comes with it. Like, you want to integrate both. You don't want to be completely separate from each other. You want to have a balance. And with all this energy, this coddling energy, it's either people trying to run to the rescue of anyone's hurt feelings, or people being told to shut up because they have feelings. There needs to be a medium in here where people can express feelings but not trample on others while expressing feelings. And this energy is trying to move us into more of an understanding of that. Like, you know, like, let's come out of this rigid energy and start communicating a little better, be a little more open-minded with our communication, as opposed to being so freaking stubborn with how we communicate. And it's like this energy of almost, it's making me think of old school, like 20s through the 50s, with that energy of just like, you know, only certain types of people show emotion, only like, it's like very like structured conformity that's been carried on for way too long. And it's time for us to start expressing differently. It's time for us to start connecting differently, which is what all this is bringing in. But like I was saying, I mean, obviously Astro Chat next week, we're going to be going over the conjunction, so we're going to have more stuff. But this whole energy right here is like, this is what we're leading into this week, because we already have 12/12 on Saturday. And my boyfriend's birthday is the 13th, so he literally gets his solar return in the middle of the eclipse. And he has a Sagittarius stellium in his first house. He is, yeah, he's gonna be having a whole lot of fun with this thing over here. But, I don't know, maybe I should tell him about it. But, all of this energy is really trying to help us be a little more goofy, so that way we are more okay with moving into this age where we're communicating more freely instead of under so much freaking restriction. A school in the 50s. I'm always pulling your dreams out, Anna. That's what we're gonna do. Just like pull out your dreams randomly while I'm talking. But, this is definitely leading into lighter energy, even though Pluto's still going to be in Capricorn for a while. But hey, transformations are heavy anyways, and some of our things we're going through and trying to work through are still going to feel kind of restricted. Like we can't fully, spread our phoenix wings yet, but we're working on it, and it's like we have that ambition to do it, and it's grounding us in that. Literally. But yeah, do you guys have other questions or other aspects that you want to learn about, or just questions on the way the certain planets are going to be hitting you guys? Fine, I'll drink my freaking water. I did need water. I kept forgetting, so I'm glad I have the bot. Thank you, bot. Oh, your Jupiter's in Aquarius, so you're going to be having a Jupiter return? What degree is your midheaven? You're looking for it. I think I have yours in here. There we go. Okay, so here's Anna. Okay, so the planets start at 19 and go to 23. So yes, you have pretty much all of them conjunct your midheaven, including the South Node, and it's all in your 10th house. This is like a major activation for you to do what you need to do, hun. Put your music out! But, your soul music. And let's see. So, And then plus next year, this is very interesting for you because things going into Aquarius, this is going to be some major internet opportunity for you as well. Like, this is pretty much just screaming for you to do this, like, no joke. Because this Jupiter Saturn conjunction that's happening as soon as it hits Aquarius is conjunct your Uranus. And then as it moves along, as soon as it hits the degree where it's exact your Uranus, it's going to be conjunct your Jupiter. So it's like this whole time you're going to be having this, pretty much the whole transit, and even some like part, like a little teeny bit into your 12th house, you're going to be having your major like blessing planets, your individually, like your individualism, spreading it like pretty much to the freaking world, being hit by this. This is almost like screaming at you, like, you know, this is the that Eminem song, the one chance, one opportunity. Oh, like the lose yourself in the music in the moment, like that. The words just flowing through my head right now. But like seriously, it's just like the whole song just started flowing through my head for you. But yeah, literally this whole area over here is literally that whole stellium of planets sitting in your 12th, which is very powerful. And like I said, it's like all about, it has the Mercury up there, it's expressing it, like that is completely like showing you like, hey, this is up your alley, let's do this. And with the South Node being in Sagittarius up there, it's like bringing out talent at the same time. Like I was telling you, this is your talent being out there. And with everything within the next week of you putting, like if you start putting stuff out on this eclipse, within the next week you're going to start seeing things happen, because things are going to start moving into Aquarius, because it's just going to start like, okay, it's time, like she put it out there, now it's time for this. And you have inconjunctions going between your own Mercury and your Sun, so it's like your heart and your communication and your health will improve because you're doing this. It's going to be like a direct how can I put this? It's going to be a direct effect, basically, of you doing this. Is going to be a massive improvement on your routine life, your home life, because you have the North Node in your 4th house in your soul right now. So, and it's conjunct your IC. So this is like a whole lot of you just like getting out your soul talents and just throwing them at people. Like, you're gonna take it and you're gonna like it. And this, ooh, yes, Anna, do this, guys. This, okay, she has her North Node in Virgo, which means her South Node's in Pisces. You know how last week when I was telling you guys about the bending of the nodes, her nodes are doing exact bends to the transiting nodes. So this is like, and you're gonna have a stellium bending your nodes at the same time as the North and South Node. This is like a whole bunch of hidden talent just like, whoo, getting thrown out there. Like, hello, here you go. Like, that stellium is going to be smacking your North and South Node. And with these being in your 7th and your 1st house over here, is, for one, people are going to be able to like see this on you. And then also your relationships, because your North Node is about making these relationships, but making them to where it's actually like you're wanting to do a service to other people, but you also need to nurture yourself, and you need to have relationships that do that. With this energy of communication and expansion throwing you up there into your career, believe me, you're going to be attracting your good friendships and everything that actually help you. But you're also going to be diving more into your intuition, and it's like your intuition is going to be you. Like that's what's going to be shown as opposed to the projections. This honest, like compassionate energy is what's going to be shown as you, and that's what's going to get projected out, because all this heavy bending, it's like it's almost making me feel like it's doing this like bucket bend kind of thing on your notes because it's sitting so heavy and shooting down onto them. Like your Sagittarius midheaven is literally an arrow that's about to be shot kind of thing, just because you have this complete bend. Like it's kind of like how I was talking about how I had a freaking yacht on top of my yacht telling me you gotta do this, and then all of a sudden like I'm getting this huge thing like you gotta do this, and I'm planning this thing right now that I can't talk about because it's a huge project. But literally every time I'm working on it, I see repeating numbers. I hear certain things, like whether it's music, commercial, whatever. Like anytime I work on it, anytime I talk about it, it's like instant, like bam, like yes, you're doing this. And it's like, okay. But it's like that's what I mean. If you're doing this, you're gonna be getting instant confirmation. So whenever you are working on things you're thinking of putting out, pay attention to what's going on around you, because if you're getting instant confirmation every time you're trying to work on something, it's like a big push. It's like that thing I told you. I don't know if you saw that pick a card with that pile, but I could easily see you being that pile that was the Powerpuff Girl pile where it's like freaking Buttercup's playing her freaking guitar solo, and just like that's what your guides are doing, walking around with you, just playing a guitar solo every time you do something that's in alignment with this particular thing, because they're just like, yes, keep doing it. Like they're just really wanting it so bad right now for this to happen. um and let me see, you have, yeah, and having that Pluto in your ninth house too, it's like everything is so connected for you. It's like freaking, you have transformation in the ninth house, and you have all this other Sagittarius stuff happening. And then once the Scorpio energy, like I said, within a few days or so after the eclipse, it's going to be having Venus moving in and being conjunct with your Pluto. You're going to be revolutionizing your relationships on top of that. So it's like, go for it and set the intention that this is going to be the thing that takes off for you, because the more you think that, like you being in control of your thoughts and being like, this is going to be the thing that takes off for me, and just doing that for yourself and reinventing your value, like, you know, I did the work for this, this is of me, and I am proud of it. Like just going straight for it like that, like, girl, this thing is waiting for you right now. And I want to see it. How can you feel like you have zero friends? What the hell am I, man? But seriously, this energy right here, you're gonna have very, like, the movement, like I said, is actually gonna happen for you, and you're gonna be transforming relationships, because that Venus is gonna be conjunct until at least 10 degrees. So yeah, Ruby laughing at me over here. Girl, I kept telling you there's plenty of hope, but this is like trying to tell you, like, they want you on it. You Let me see. You might actually have a yod right now. Let me see. Ooh, wait. Just had to clean up a lot of people. Hey, we're all cleaning up a lot of people, believe me. I don't even. The list has been shortened so great. That is kind of like. It'd be easier to list who is still here as opposed to what has been dropped. But, this right here, I'm trying to see because let's go. I'm trying to look and see if you would have a yod being formed with this, but my brain is like going derp on trying to do the math right now. It's completely like, nope, I'm derping out. I don't know how to do this. But, for you, it's bugging me because I feel like there's a freaking yod in here. My brain always derps out with math. Mine's usually pretty good, but it's like lately I have been using my brain for so much stuff at one time that it's like when it isn't designated to be being used for that particular thing at that time, it's like, no, I'm derping on this. I'm using it for this. All the space for this goes to this. But, definitely that Gemini North Node. Ooh, Anna, you have quite a few grand air trines also with that North Node. That is going to be there for a while because North Node is going to be moving slow as all get out. My brain is noping out. But, you actually have, because the North Node, the transiting one, is sitting over here at this 19 degrees, right? So if we're gonna look at the different trines you can have with this North Node, you have your natal Venus. It's still within the orb, your moon, so that's already 2. And then you have 2 others sitting over here. 5's a little too far out, but your Jupiter still works. So your Jupiter is going to be connecting to this and to this, making 2 grand air trines. Now, this North Node is going to be doing this for a bit, but, it's retrograde. So it's going to be moving into the degrees that are lower, right? So even if you move out of these grand air trines, you're going to move into the lower degree air trines, which is going to stay conjunct this one at lower degrees anyways. And, trining, not conjunct. So this Sagittarius Aquarius moving in is going to be throwing even more grand air trines up on you as this is moving further back. So even if you somehow mystically start getting, well, no, you're not going to get away. You're just not going to get away from it. Because even if you somehow move into the 5, you're going to be having tons of friggin' air, hun. you're going to be giving Owen a run for his money. Because, yeah, he has his Gemini stellium going on, but you're going to have, like, lovely air trines happening. The same, I read Grace's chart, and she has a lot of grand air trines happening at the time it goes into Aquarius. So grand trines are, you know how you told me that you like my chart, it's pretty, it has that big triangle that goes across all the earth stuff. So basically you have, if you can imagine it, triangles happening right now in your chart. Yeah, Owen, we're going to talk about Owen even though he's not here. But you have one, like, because imagine the trines going across, right? Because you can see these blue lines. Now, you have these trines going across right here. The ones we're looking at right now are not going to be Uranus. We're looking at the ones going from Jupiter, going over here, because these are actually in the degree where they're in the orb, where they're part of the actual trine. Now, that's going to stay there because the North Node moves very slow. And so it's going to keep moving very slow, very slow, very slow, very slow, and just keep doing that. And then it's going to hit 13 degrees, right? By the time it gets to 13 degrees, this conjunction over here will have moved a little further. It might even be conjuncture Uranus. I can't remember exactly. But if it is, this is what's going to happen. Or if it's a little past it. That means everything's going to be hitting your moon, for one. And then what's going to happen is you're going to have Jupiter, Saturn, and Uranus, and your Jupiter. So there's 4 grand air trines all going, hey, and like hitting your moon in your 7th house. Just wee, like going across and doing more triangles. So you can imagine you're just going to have tons of freaking air triangles happening this whole time. Now, you don't have a lot of Earth planets that will be causing the grand Earth trines. Probably at some time earlier this year you might have had a couple grand Earth trines, and you might have felt very heavily restricted, because that can happen sometimes when it's doing a bunch of Earth sitting on you. Like, yeah, it's great positive aspects, and it keeps you grounded, but it almost keeps you too grounded, and you can't really, like, go towards things, because everything has to be really practical. Once everything goes into air, and I'm going to tell you, for you, you're going to be getting some air. Like, it's going to be, like, it's no wonder it feels like this is the starting point for you, because this is, like, communication city for you. And it's going to be happening all through your 4th and your 3rd house because of that transiting North Node going over both of them. It's going to be, like, all of this energy in your 11th house just being lit up. Hey, we're going to have a light up party. You're probably over here thinking, I have like a huge Gemini stellium that's going to be happening at my solar return. We're going to have an air party together in our 11th house, because that's where my sun is. We're just going to have an air party. But, and with all this stuff being in Aquarius, my IC is Libra, so, whee! But me and you are kind of going to be feeling a whole lot of air. But I actually have more fire trines, oddly enough, even though I am water trines. I don't even know what the heck's going on with my chart. I don't even know what to think about my chart anymore. But it's just doing its own crazy thing, and it wants to have multiples of every damn thing under the sun. So I have stopped counting at this point. It's just going to keep having multiple mystic rectangles and multiple grand trines of all the flavors of under the sun. I'm just, it's whatever. I'm going with it now. Like, I'm trying to look at transits, and I'm just like, okay. That's pretty much what's happening. Because even when freaking Venus moves into Sagittarius, I'm going to have more freaking grand trines in my chart again. But air party. I know Owen's going to be very happy to have people to have air parties with. But this is going to be the start of a bunch of air. For anyone that has any placements in Libra or Gemini, more than likely you're going to be having grand air trines at some point while these two planets are in Aquarius. Even if you don't, if you have something in Libra, you're going to be getting grand air trines because of this freaking North Node in Gemini deciding that it wants to do whatever it wants to do with people's stuff right now. So I didn't even know Air Party was a song, but your Libra placements are shaking. How many Libra placements do you have? Do you have any later degree ones? Like anything that's like 19 and under? I know that sounds like a party, right? You can't come in if you're 19 and younger. But anything you have that is 19. Well, at first you're going to have to wait until, unless you have something else in Gemini, you're going to have to wait for the node to get down to 13 degrees before any of your Libra stuff kicks in for it to matter. But once it hits 13 degrees, if any of your Libra is 8 degrees ahead of the Gemini North Node or at 5 degrees or more, then you're definitely going to be getting some trines. Starting up with, I'm looking at hers and saying Jupiter, getting started up. But you're going to want to just kind of pay attention unless you have, like, you're going to have trines, but you won't have grand trines until things start getting to the lower degrees for you. If you only have Libra placements and you don't have extra Gemini or Aquarius placements. Oh, you're welcome, Anna. But, so that means you won't be feeling it like at the beginning of the year. You're going to be feeling it more towards maybe the middle to the end of next year. 16 degrees in Libra. Rising. Oh, you're going to be having it in your first house. Rising is 23 and your 12th house. You're going to have some fun. I like how I'm sitting here looking at like, you're going to have some fun. Just... But, so the North Node's been trining your ascendant. It's my life. It's now or never. But, 16, you already have, yeah, you're already trining with that North Node. You're just having a trine party with the North Node right now. But, so you're pretty much going to be probably filling it towards the later end because you're going to need Saturn, and either Saturn or Jupiter, because Jupiter moves, a little quicker than Saturn does, but you're gonna get trines with those because an orb for 16 can go all the way to 24 or all the way to 8. So if the North Node is at 8 degrees and either Saturn or Jupiter is at 8 degrees in Aquarius, then you're going to be having the grand air trines doubling up on your Libra Venus. More air party, let's make a club. But that's going to be more midway through next year. But you're already trining with the North Node on your rising. That's been trining for a good bit. But whatever your Mercury is in, if it's at a earlier degree than your Venus, then you're gonna be picking up and then carrying on even more. But you're gonna, wherever you have grand trines, those houses are activated. Just remember that you're having like activation in those houses. If you have a natal one, it's pretty much like those houses are always freaking activated. But but if you're having transiting ones, it's like a highlight. It's like this is getting activated. And for Anna, it's like she's over here getting her 7th, her 8th, her 11th, and her 3rd and her 4th activated once things start going into Aquarius. Those are going to be dancing around like... You guys remember those little toys that are like... They play the colors like the Simon Says kind of things. Like it goes around and just does the colors. It's like I'm looking at her chart and thinking like it's going to be pretty much tapping around and doing that with everything in her 11th house as degrees are changing. It's just going to be doing tip taps all around everywhere. Just changing off throughout the years because hers is going to be going a little further, so it's going to be changing off throughout the years. But and then plus, like I told you guys, see, my sun is in Gemini, and there's going to be a Gemini stellium. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, Anna, you have a whole lot of grand air trines come my birthday. Because there's going to be a lot of planets sitting down here in Gemini around 10 degrees. So you're pretty much just going to keep moving into like this area. There's going to be so much freaking air, guys. Like, no joke. Like, this Saturn-Jupiter is just the start of it. There's going to be stelliums of air. So this energy is just gonna be like, let's communicate, like, but anyone who does not like this kind of communication energy is gonna get very, very annoyed. But for the people that have been waiting for this, like, they've been stuck so heavy and it's just been sitting on them. This is gonna be like that burst that they never thought they would get, like, ever. And that's why I'm saying for you, it's gonna be a huge surprise. It really will, because like Uranus is such unexpected energy, and you having it is like you're doing that internal revolution and then it coming out, basically, and being expressed. Get ready. But yeah, girl, you're already lit up. You already have some grand air trines happening currently, and then that Aquarius Jupiter Saturn thing is going to move in there, and you're going to start having even more. So you're going to be part of the air party with all the air peoples, which you already have air in your chart anyway. So it's pretty much like your air energy's been very suppressed this year by how heavy the earth energy's been. With me, I'm kind of used to heavy earth energy because my chart just loves being heavy earth energy. But with all of your stuff, it's like you don't have a whole lot of heavy earth. Your north node's in Virgo, but that just makes you very meticulous and very critical of yourself. And this energy with the Gemini and the Sagittarius, especially having that stellium up there, is trying to get you to be less serious about yourself. It's trying to help you pull your talents out that you keep criticizing so much and just letting it go. Because like it's almost like telling your Virgo over here, like, hey, we can perfect things later. Right now, let's just stick out some raw stuff. Let's just have fun with it. Let's be expressive. And like I said, like, have more fun with it than trying to look at it. Like, don't look at it like this needs to be perfect for it to blow up. No, whatever you do, especially if you have fun with it, is going to blow up. And you just gotta look at it that way. The more fun you have with it, the better it's gonna be for you. So just be less strict on yourself, and don't talk to yourself so strictly with that Mercury Virgo, especially retrograde. You going all internal and tearing that crap up, and that's not good for you. This is going to be all about you opening up and just allowing yourself to express yourself with optimism and being more free about it, and not being torn down by the energies that you're used to. I'm taking notes. But yeah, I feel like Anna over here with all of her note things. Does anyone else have questions on my brain? Just like, I'm gonna be derp today. I can just tell you right now. It's gonna be a derp day for me. I can lose Virgo. I should still have your chart, hon. Let me see. Okay, there. I'm like, why can't I find what I am looking for? How am I looking for? There you are, bae. Whee! Let's pop this up here. Okay, so so you are one of the ones I was saying are gonna have the stellium split, because this right here is the 20-degree mark, and since the south node is at 19, it's going to be in your 8th. The Mercury's at 20, so that's going to be in your 8th. I am not sure, because this is 25, so I really think this is probably about 22 for you, so those 23s are going to fall just in. It's going to like fall into your 9th. So the actual eclipse itself is going to be in your 9th, and then the south node and the Mercury are sitting in your 8th. So you actually have the stellium split up between two houses, and Nightbot is having the time of its life again. But you also have the north node sitting in your 2nd. So there's a lot of oh my gosh, my pillow on my seat is stuck. Okay. Sorry, I had to move. That was getting very annoying. So like I was saying, you have the stellium split on either side. So this eclipse is technically activating your 8th and your 9th because of the planets going on. Now, since the south node and Mercury are in here with your Pluto, you technically have a stellium currently at the time of this eclipse. It's just, instead of it including the eclipse, it's including Pluto. So that's making some major deep transformation come through. in your 8th house, because your 8th house is ruled by Scorpio, so it still has that Scorpio energy of that deep unknown, like, kind of energy. So definitely make sure you don't become obsessive with this, because that can be something you can dip into. But having all of this Sagittarius energy in here is pretty much like expanding the way you think about this. It's making it to where you are learning more about this hidden knowledge, and it's helping you go through literally spreading some phoenix wings right now. And that is what your Saturn wants, because it is very happy about you spreading some phoenix wings, let me tell you. Like, it's just over here like, oh hell yeah, I'll take some phoenix wings. That's the best way we learn, is through phoenix wings. So this house getting activated by a south node that is going to be sitting in there for a bit is trying to get you to understand the hidden about yourself, but also having Mercury in there with communicating this. It's like you're learning a new way of communication, and you're being able to express these different, like, I wanted to say episodes for some reason. It's almost like the show of your life. It's like the growth that you're having going into new seasons, basically. And this coming over into your 9th with the eclipse itself happening in your 9th house is like pretty much doubling down on that power that I was talking about, because looking for you have a lot going on in your 12th, a lot of heavy 12th energy. We already know that the eclipse energy, are you actually Steph? No. My boyfriend has a Sagittarius in the 1st house going on. But back to the thing I was saying, since the eclipse energy itself, in its own chart that it has for that day, is sitting in all this 12th house energy, you are pretty much getting it kicked up a notch. Because, oh, don't worry, Anna, that was actually pretty funny. But having all of this in here is like getting its own activation, because there's so much 12th house energy being packed into the eclipse. So even though, I mean, it's still tying itself to the eclipse, because the freaking Neptune's chilling in there right now. But like literally the Neptune's chilling in between your stuff right here. It's just like hanging out right in between your Mercury and your Moon, going, hey, like just hanging out in here. Which means that it's everything I was saying in the eclipse chart about the Neptune is happening with these placements you have over here. It's like overdrive causing this energy. And once again, it's bringing up your communication. It's like you're able to learn more, because your communication for most people is really hard to understand. It's hard to grasp. It's almost like they have to wade through a dream world to understand what you are trying to say, especially since your motivation and your intuition, and like you were close to being born on a new moon yourself. Like having all of these energies in there is pretty much like getting to know you, especially in the 12th house, is confusing. Because it's like, what is real, what is not real kind of thing comes out. And even you think that with yourself sometimes too. It's probably like, what the hell is even going on with my life right now? But having that Neptune in there is adding its own flavor and actually connecting this. And this is going to... But what this eclipse is trying to help you with is learning about that. Even though it's very like, how the hell am I supposed to learn about that? This 12th house energy, since all your stuff is in there, even your Saturn, your lessons come from freaking not understanding shit. But a little bit forceful though with how they come through with you not understanding shit. But this energy is trying to help you learn about the things you don't understand and make you have a more optimistic view of the fact that, hey, there's just some things that are going to come to me extremely randomly, and this, it's a good thing. I am going to start celebrating the fact that, you know what, it just doesn't make sense, and that works for me. It's pretty much like helping you get into like this kind of like bouncy energy with understanding that and then loving that about yourself, because it's like a little annoying when people don't get you, but this is trying to show you, hey, who cares if they don't get you? They're lost. Like, you're great. So I'm going to communicate with the people that do get me. And this thing right here with your Jupiter over here, your Jupiter going to love that. And I think this expansion being in your 11th house is saying you are going to find your quirky people on the internet, and it's just going to be so much fun for you, because instead of feeling like no one understands you, it's going to be like, yes, thank you. Finally, someone gets it. And then you're going to get more of this as these final, like your Venus, your relationships are feeling very restricted right now, having all that Earth just chilling up there on top of it. But this right here is going to move into Aquarius, and when it does, you are going to start making, my besties are online friends. I mean, it makes sense. You need to find your people. Like, your people, like, if you look down here in your chart, your people are like, what the fuck? You got like all this empty space, and it's like literally all of the planets that these houses connect to are way off over here, hidden in your 12th house. So it's like Mercury, 12th house, Moon, 12th house, Mars, 12th house. It's like all your stuff is just over here. Sun, 12th house. It's like all of these lower parts. The only thing not in your 12th house is your Venus, and it's been sitting under a bunch of rocks with all this Earth energy just sitting on top of it this whole year. It's going to move into Aquarius, and you're going to be like, friends. It's just going to be like all over the place, and it's going to feel great, because you're going to be having this energy where, for one, it's going to be conjunct your Neptune, which automatically ties it into everything you have in Pisces and everything going on in your 12th house. So that Aquarius, like literally it's going to be 0 degrees to your 1 degree going on over here with your Neptune. It's going to be like happy days like going on, because it's going to be like it's falling out of nowhere, and you just got to trust it. Okay, this is something you've been learning your whole freaking life, because you've been going through life just trusting that things were going to work out for the best. Like this little sense of it'll work out. Whatever this is, it's gonna work out. Like, it's just pretty much been the theme of your life, going through these things, especially since your lessons have been very, very unexpected, very quick. Your things don't sit there for long. And the thing is, with Saturn fighting with Aries energy, it's almost like this very restrictive energy, and Aries just being impulse. It's like impulsive lessons. Like, you learned from being impulsive in some situations and were made to sit down and try to understand why that didn't work out. But this whole energy right here is pretty much just going to be full on activated. It's getting activated already by this eclipse, but it going into this Aquarius energy and activating your Neptune, it's going to be like your 12th house gets lit up. You are like finding your people, because I'm sorry, let's be in bottom nothing down here. You weren't finding your people early in life. It just wasn't happening. Like, you were just trying to even understand what the hell was going on with you. And that was a big, like, what the fuck? Because everything's hidden over here. So, more than likely, like, even though you probably put up a fiery, impulsive front, you were feeling like a complete mushy mess, which made you act very impulsively with your emotions without even understanding why, which probably got you into a lot of these lessons, to be honest with you. But you're going to be moving on from all this and just recreating your image. Like, literally recreating it. Because all of this energy, instead of people projecting on you or you taking what people tell you that makes sense for you to be, all of a sudden you're going to be lit up and be like, hey, I know what the fuck's going on with me. This is great. And like, you're going to be pulling in people that actually really like it and they want to be around it. And with you, whatever that was, don't ask me what that was. But you're not going to be part of the air party, I'm sorry, but because you don't really have much going on in Libra over here. You have that Gemini, North Node, hanging out and going this way, but you don't really have much over here. So you're gonna have tons of air trines, not grand trines. You're just gonna have like tons of trines, and then when that Gemini stellium happens, you're gonna have even more going in between. But this, you don't, in a way, it's good for you. I'm not gonna lie, because you already have all this going on over here. I think a bunch of air trines sitting on top of you would not have been, grand air trines would not have been the best thing for you, honestly, because this is all about like understanding yourself and being really like embracing the uniqueness instead of being told like this weird doesn't work for me and you having to water it down in order to have people understand a portion of your personality. It's like you're going to be able to be your silly self and not worry about what people are thinking for once, and it's going to be very healing for you because your 7th house is ruled by Libra, but your Chiron is in Scorpio, and it's almost like this very deep needed healing, especially child healing going on here because of how freaking empty this is down here. It's like going through these relationships and actually creating these deep connections, especially since you actually have a lot of trines going. It doesn't show it with Chiron. It doesn't show the aspects with Chiron. Don't know why. But pretty much everything from Mercury, the transiting Neptune, your moon, and your Mars are all trining your Chiron. So all of this energy is pretty much like helping you heal these very deep wounds in relationships, and the Neptune transiting everything is helping you finally bring compassion to it, because natally you're always just turning it over and like rushing into certain things thinking it's gonna fix it, but it's like your emotions get the better of you, and then the way you talk to yourself after it happens is really not healthy. And having that Neptune energy mixing in there and creating a little bit of like a compassion cushion that you need for this healing is what's going to help you work through these relationships and make it to where this healed space that you have opens up space for all these new relationships to just kind of flood in that understand this new you that you're finally understanding too, and you're expressing, because there's a lot of expressive energy in here that's going to flow out for you. You can sit with us. We can be friends. Oh my gosh. But yeah, this is going to be some really fun quirky energy for you, and definitely it's going to help you be a little lighter when it comes to what you want with your career. It's like, because having that Capricorn up there is like having that ambition to go for it and make your mark on the world and everything, but having it go into Aquarius, you're going to want to be a little more unique with it, as opposed to feeling like you need to make it in the world through your connections and through your relationships. You're going to feel more like, hey, I can make it not through just relationships but communities, and then having a community which is more Aquarius energy but also being unique within the Aquarius energy as well is going to really help you grow, and moving that energy towards your 11th house. Once Jupiter and Aquarius get into your 11th house, it's going to be having this conjunction going on with your Uranus, which is going to be like Woohoo, internet! Like, you're pretty much having that once everything hits 2 degrees anyways. Once it gets in there, it's going to be conjunct everything at 2 degrees. So when they both are sitting there at 2, you're going to have your Uranus and your Neptune conjunct. So both the 10th and 11th will be activated at the same time, which is going to be a lot of fun for you. Some things might feel a little restrictive, like having to get out of certain structures. But for the most part, things are going to be helping you to understand. And if anything, that Saturn Aquarius energy is going to help you break down the old constructs that really sat on you and made you think you were a certain way because you had to be around certain people and help you heal that aspect. And it's going to make it to where you're creating a new structure in rebelling against structure, which is what you need with all this Pisces energy. It's just like structure does not work over here for this kind of energy. But yeah, yours, you're gonna have fun. There's always gonna be challenges, but even your Saturn is gonna be sextiling, which is a really positive aspect as it moves further into Aquarius. So it's like getting the help of, like, you know, the lessons seeming a little less daunting. It's like they're coming to you a little easier. Like the answers are like actually, and you might get a lot of the answers to some of the lessons that you've honestly not understood your entire life, because it's like, what the hell? You'll start getting it through the relationships you're making during this time, which will be like why that's such a positive aspect for you. And you'll start feeling that at, like, if it's 17, once they both hit 9, so they'll still be conjunct your own Uranus in your 11th for a while. So yeah, that's like a whole lot of internet and making friends and things you've always wanted, because it's like that wish energy, almost like the star in tarot. It's why it's represented by Aquarius. It's that whole energy coming in there. But it's like things you always wanted are finally starting to happen, and it's like, this feels wonderful. I will sit with this. But it's just a whole lot of good things starting to finally come to you after a whole bunch of shit. But I do gotta say, though, one thing that's gonna be a little hard is dealing with the Uranus in your first house and constantly feeling like you are unexpectedly changing how you're comfortable with presenting yourself to the world. It's going to be one of those things you have to do a lot of internal just digging in how you want to show yourself. And it's going to be a lot of, since your rising is Aries, it's going to be a lot of rapid changes. You just have to know that your people aren't going to be judging you for your rapid changes. They're going to be supporting you through your rapid changes. And however, like, if you randomly, like, for me, this is my first year really, well, I can't say that, but I've never rainbowed my hair. I've done, like, very vivid reds and things like that. But, you know, I went happy with rainbow hair. Mermaid, cosmic hair, whatever you want to call it. But it was something I always wanted to do, and I did it. Now for you, if you're trying different things and like different ways of expressing yourself, different ways of talking, different ways of dressing, different groups you're wanting to try, it's like there's like these things where people are gonna be like, some people are gonna be like, you know, what the hell, why are you changing so many things? It's because you're trying to find what you're comfortable with. And if you gotta say, like, I'm trying to get comfortable, damn it, like, you can do that if you want to. Like, you don't have to sit there and, like I said, we're going into a time where we don't necessarily have to coddle people, because people are learning, if they're doing the work, they're learning what their truth is, and they'll be comfortable in it and be able to play more, as opposed to feeling like you gotta, like, coddle and make sure that everyone is you know, not flipping out all over the place. And the people that aren't doing the work are going to be the ones that feel like they need to be coddled constantly. And believe me, it's going to be draining, and you're going to not want that going on with you. But this whole energy right here, just try it out. Have fun with different things. If people are being judgmental, you know what? You are broadening some horizons right now. You are going to experiment with your individuality and just have fun with that being out there. And it's going to help you when it comes to like networking and doing things career wise and what you want to put out in the world, because what you're presenting as yourself is what makes you happy. And when that's on you, when you're feeling happy with what you're presenting to the world, it brings a different energy to what you're putting out to people, as opposed to being like, oh, I'm not so sure about this, I don't really think like I have what it takes to do this kind of thing. It's like having that kind of energy makes it so meek that people don't really know if, like, is this even like a real thing here? Is this even gonna like work for me? How can I trust this if they don't even seem sure of themselves? It's almost like you're gonna find that sweet spot that it's like, you know, I like this. And if your sweet spot is doing a whole bunch of random shit, then your sweet spot's doing a bunch of random shit. I mean, you're in a very imaginative, like, group over here, and your Jupiter loves imagination on top of that. So it's like this whole energy of just being creative and allowing yourself to express yourself through this. Like, if you have dreams of different ways you want to do things, literally do your what your dreams are doing. Like, have fun with it instead of feeling so constricted. Like, we're moving into a time where expressing yourself is going to be so much fun that anyone who's not doing it is going to be a sourpuss. Like, there's nowhere else. There's no other way to put it. If you're not, like, having fun expressing yourself in this new energy and just, like, getting to know yourself and taking others as they are instead of placing expectations and being actually detached from other people's rigidity and just kind of going with what this airflow is doing, because there's going to be so much freaking air. If you're not doing that and just, like, having this light quality to you, like, you're gonna be sinking people like freaking bus anchors or something. I don't even know how to put it. But if you can allow yourself to actually embrace the energy instead of being scared of it, because there of course is going to be difficulties, there's going to be things that we're going to have to go through, like how your Pluto is squaring off against a lot of your Pisces stuff. It's going to feel very difficult because, like, going through different transformations, obviously every time like you die and you're reborn, it's kind of painful. Like, a phoenix death is friggin' screaming and shit. It's not like a happy thing, but it's like at the same time you keep growing and you keep, like, you know, emerging a new, more beautiful thing, but still keeping what you've learned. And that's why you're reborn from your own ashes. It's like, you know, you're not being born out of some random vortex or something. Like, you're coming out of what you have gone through and taken from it and made more beautiful. It's not like it's coming from some random area. And that's something else you're going to be learning too, because the Sagittarius energy is going to help you start pulling that out instead of feeling like it's something that needs to lay dormant in you in your 12th house and not expressing it. But yeah, personally for me, I feel like you are going to be a very fun person to be around next year. That's just my opinion, but then again, I feel like my chart agrees with you. So you wouldn't be someone that would not be my taste. But I do like doing this with your guys' chart. Obviously, everyone's is so different, but you can just see how the different flavors play out for different people. Oh, you're welcome, hon. I mean, it's a great way to learn because it's not like you're just looking at an event. It's like you're actually able to bring it down to a personal level, because events you can do both personal and you can do like how it's affecting the world, which can make it very impersonal. But this, like being able to see your personal chart and kind of like understand where these things are moving and how it's going to be pulling you in certain aspects, it's a good energy to learn from. Like you can learn the like I almost said impractical. It's practical to know what's going on in the world. Okay, yeah, it's a good thing. Oh, thank you. That is so sweet. And I know a lot of people are all over the place with how they feel about this energy moving into Aquarius. It could be just me, because I have an Aquarius North Node, and because I have a Gemini Sun and a Libra IC, that I'm over here like, this might actually be kind of fun for me to have that going on, because I'm going to be having some fun houses being activated with this. But at the same time, it's not like I am going to be without things happening just because my chart is so earth heavy, and air doesn't necessarily like playing around with earth unless it forms yods like mine decides to. But oh, that's awesome. See, I like that you guys are able to learn from it too. Because I really, that is one thing that I was told when I was young, is that I was like a natural teacher. That's why I went for my first degree in teaching, but it wasn't like, you know, I thought I wanted to be a high school teacher the rest of my life. I was like, this is probably gonna not be cool. And then I subbed once and I was like, oh hell no. And plus it didn't help. I'm only like 5 foot, so everyone thought I was a freaking student there, because I kind of looked the same as I did when I was like a teenager. So I subbed and everyone thought I was a student, and they asked where the teacher was. That obviously immediately didn't go well, and then people wanted to add me on Facebook because I look so young, and I was just like, oh my god, these are all like minors and I'm like in my 20s and everyone's wanting to add me on Facebook. We're this is like obviously not something I should be going for over here. I need to be looking at something else. But I love teaching though. I love like the light bulbs going off. It's almost like you can visually see light bulbs going off when people get stuff, and I love it. And like that gets me really excited. So hearing that is like a huge compliment. I thank you so much, because I enjoy teaching this. Yeah, laugh at me, Anna. But I really enjoy doing this for you guys. Do you guys have other questions? Aww. This isn't supposed to be a crying stream, guys. Trying to activate all these freaking grand water trines I have sitting on me right now. I think I got 4 or 5. I don't even know anymore. Maybe 4. You want to see if you're part of the air party? Technically, Bay is part of the air party in her own special way, with everything she has going on over there. Okay, so let's see here. You're Libra. Oh yeah, you definitely part of the air party. What's great is the North Node is going to be moving to earlier degrees, right? You already have it trining your 16, but once it gets to like, I would say, once the North Node hits 8 degrees, this is going to be interesting for you. So we're talking about the North Node moving. It's going to be probably midway through next year, that with the Saturn and Jupiter, because you have to realize 8 is going to be right in the middle of both of these. Well, actually, it's going to be a little closer to the 5, but it's still going to be including the 16. So, having the 8 North Node is automatically going to be connecting to both of these. Now, well, technically once it hits 13, it's going to be hitting both of these. But right now it's at 19. So once we hit 13, we're getting there. But the Aquarius, which you have an Aquarius North Node, so you're going to be feeling some of that activation. You're not going to feel it fully until like a couple years down, but because mine's at 9 degrees, I'm going to be feeling that conjunction quite early. The energy coming in here immediately on the 21st, you're going to be having 2 more air trines added at 0 degrees because of this 5. Now, as this moves, once this hits 8 as well, right here, between 8 and 13, you're literally gonna have like 1, 2, 3, 4. You're gonna have 4 different air trines happening, and that's gonna be like I said, more towards the middle of the year. As this node is moving through Gemini, you're gonna keep having different ones. There's also going to be a lovely Gemini stellium that is going to create multiple grand air trines. So yes, you are part of the party. Just in case you're like, yes, air party. But you're not gonna be more of the instant air party. It's gonna be more of the kind of like, hey, I'm joining late, but I'm still part of the air party, guys. Like, it's definitely going on in there. But especially like having like towards the end of this run with Aquarius, you're going to be having that North Node really activated too. Mine's going to be activated pretty much the whole time because it's at 9. So it's all the way until close to 20 degrees. I'm going to be like having this freaking Aquarius activation happening with my thing. So fashionably late. I mean, of course, you have a Libra ascendant. Of course, you gotta be fashionably late. But all this energy is pretty much like you're starting to go towards putting your North Node thing, which yours is sitting in your 4th house. So you got that barely in your 4th house. It's like humping that 5th line right there. It's like all up on it, having a good time. But it really wanted to be in your 4th house. By some little sliver of a chance, it wanted to be in that 4th house, because this is you diving straight into the energy of the freaking, this is my family out here, guys. This is my weird, unique ass family that I'm heading towards. I'm gonna find this shit because it's in my soul. I'm finding my soul people. And it's like, that's what your North Node's going at. And then you have these 2 planets coming in to Aquarius. Being like, okay, we're not going to be rigid like this house usually is, guys. We're going to start tearing some stuff up in here. We're going to start having our own little mini party, which, like I said, you're going to be already coming out the gate trining your Mercury. So you're going to be communicating some stuff you haven't been talking about. Some of that 12th house stuff. You're going to be coming out and talking about it. You'll be talking about a lot of things that you feel just aren't going right in the world right now, and it's probably a lot of things that you never thought you would talk about. But it's just going to start coming out, but it's going to be coming out with your people. It's going to be coming out with these people, and they're going to be happy to be sharing in it with you. They're going to be like, hell yeah, you should tell this to more people. And then all your Virgo stuff's going to be like, dude, but I don't know about this. But it's like, oh well. So I think with you, what's interesting is, like, I know Anna's thing is like getting this thing to at least like try sticking something out there, like this is your energy. Your energy is gonna be a buildup, like, because obviously you have this energy in your 11th house where if you're gonna put something out there, you want it to look right. It's not going to be able to look completely right, but you're going to be able to get it pretty damn close before you put it out there. You're probably going to put it out closer to when you're having this grand air trine thing, like probably halfway through next year, because you're going to have both your communication and your relationships getting activated, along with having that north node energy happening in your 8th house. So it's going to be bringing out this very subconscious, almost ethereal energy that you're going to be putting out. So that's what's going to really offset all this Virgo, because it's such very practical energy, and that's why it's not really working for your 11th house, is because your 11th house is ruled by Leo. It wants creative spontaneity. It wants like this childlike energy, and where else are you going to get that besides like a whole lot of freaking air sitting on you, wanting to roll around and kick up all the dirt that you're letting this Virgo stuff lay on your talents over here. It's like, we're going to bring up all these hidden talents. You can refine them. Like, it's pretty much what you're probably going to be taking all this time to do, is refining all these things that are starting to come in with this Aquarius energy. Especially with your Mercury in your 12th. That's like getting like a whole lot of messages from Spirit. Like, it's like, let's just get some messages, and you're going to have this trine in Aquarius. Well, let's get some very far out there messages, guys, and let's make sure they're very big out there messages with Jupiter. So you're going to be like, what the kind of energy? So you learning this energy is probably what's going to come first. And then once it's moving past this and it's starting to get to where your more Venusian energy is starting to connect with it, you're able to harmonize it, you're actually going to be hitting the grand trine time. So that's why I feel like yours is going to be like a build up to it. Like, you need to have your time with it. Whereas Anna's is just pure impulse, because she's literally like a walking light bulb right now for things to be flowing down to her. So that's kind of like, she's having that right now and you're having that later kind of thing. It's like a now and later. But this is very interesting, you guys. And in a way, like, it's making me excited to look forward to next week's conjunctions with everybody, like how they're going, because we're kind of seeing it with looking at the charts. But obviously when we look at the conjunctions actual chart, there's going to be different transits, different degrees, different stuff. So it's going to be like a fuller picture, as opposed to like just going off of just knowing eclipse energy and knowing like the conjunction is going to be at 0 and where it's going to be hitting stuff, and kind of knowing when that Gemini energy is going to come into play. And the only reason I know is I was curious about what my solar return looked like next year, and I was like, oh, hello. So that's the only reason why I know there's going to be that Gemini stellium halfway through next year that's going to be having that happy activating party with everybody. But, yeah, this is going to be, because I know a lot of people are looking at it, and I really think it depends on the individual person. I'm not going to, like, sit here and say, like, this is going to be an amazing time for everybody. Not everybody can handle a whole lot of air energy. It's like, some people, it will put them in a tailspin and they will not be able to do anything or get anything done. When people have worked on the grounding, even if they're not used to it, if they kind of have like a grounded feeling. And that's another thing too. This is why grounding's been so important this year, and why earth energy has been emphasized so heavy this year, is because there's going to be so much freaking air that we're going to need to be grounded, or you're going to be floating off and be a talking head. That's literally what you're going to be. It's like there's going to be nothing for forming anything at all if you haven't learned to ground yourself in the energy of the earth this year. And once it moves out of that, it's kind of like, I sure hope that you guys have learned at least how to kind of stick your foot in the sand, for one, but even dip your toe in a little bit, so you kind of know at least what the earth feels like. Because if you haven't started at least a little bit of it, trying to learn it on all this air is going to be a whole nother thing on top of it. So if you haven't done it yet, at least start like some grounding or root work exercises with your root chakra, and just make sure you have at least that going into this air energy, because it's always good to have a good foundation to ground on. I honestly don't need to worry about that because of all the damn earth in my chart. But once the air comes, it's going to be like, okay, we're getting some balance out of this for me, because I have so much stuff on my chart. But it's like I don't even know how to feel about that freaking thing anymore. Oh, I just realized that when the sun thing happens, I'm going to have my yod activated again next year. Like, how many freaking times does my freaking yod need to be activated within 6 months? But, roller in the dirt. But, we're just going to have some fun, guys. Okay? Let's just have a bunch of fun with this. At least us. If people aren't, don't give them a really hard time, because that just means they have a hard time kind of understanding, especially if they are earth heavy or very water heavy. It's going to be a lot harder for them to adjust to the energy if they don't have any kind of understanding of air energy. For Ruby, that's why I'm saying it's going to take a little longer for you, is because your earth energy is kind of hidden in your 12th house, but it's going to start being brought to the surface. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but once it happens, you're going to be ready for it. Like, you're kind of getting tastes of it with the Gemini North Node kind of moving around and making trines to some things. Like, technically with this 19, that's a trine. 16 is too far out for a trine because it's 9 degrees, so it could have been a grand earth trine, but grand air trine, but your Venus is like kind of not enough there. It's just not enough. It's not, making the cut. But once this moves closer, you'll have it with all this Aquarius moving in. It's just going to take a little time for you to get used to it. So just try to understand what the North Node is doing right now with helping you understand this energy. And as more moves into Aquarius and you get more used to the energy, that's how it'll work for you. Everyone in this live has a dope chart. I mean, I wonder why we're here. It's like all of our charts are like, we finding our people. And it's like, hey, we are finding our people. I mean, I just look at my chart and I'm like, I'm a freaking magnet. This thing looks like one huge magnet. I don't know how to... But, yeah, unless you guys want me to go over something specific, I'm gonna go ahead and I almost said close up shop. I can't even, like my brain, like, dirt. It's like, I can talk about all this stuff, and then my brain, I look away from it, and I derp. It's like, it's the derp happens. But, Yeah, the whole, like, I know usually I put out a lot of contests and stuff during the month and everything, but right now the reason the contests aren't going up is because I'm working on a really big project. So, just wait patiently for me. And then the project will be way worth the wait, I promise you. So, you guys have a great night. I self care, guys, because I am not gonna be live again until Monday, which is the day of the eclipse. So I will be coming back on the day of the eclipse, guys. So take care of yourselves, and just remember, self-care right now is really important coming up into this energy. If you feel like being lighthearted, allow yourself to feel that way. I know there's a lot of crap going on in the world right now that makes us feel like we can't. But do things for yourself, have joy in your day, and start getting ready for this. So, good night, everybody, and I will see you on the eclipse, which is happening at like 8 in the morning. So, yeah, we're going to be filming that while I'm live. I'll see you guys on Monday.